Actually, I can't wait to practice that.
Oh, you don't have to wait.
Well, I just want to be here right now.
Oh, all right. Be here now. Yes, good idea.
Bashar, I had written a question, and I can read it the way that I had kind of formed it in my mind.
Yes.
But I can also play it a different way because of the way that the conversation built up.
Well, your choice.
Right. So my initial question was that how can I trust and make sure that when I imagine things,
yes,
or when my intuition is telling me something, that hasn't been filtered through my belief system. So what I'm feeling, or the way that we talked about it today, is that my imagination is coming from my higher mind and not my physical mind.
Well, that doesn't mean it's not going through your belief system. It always goes through your belief system. But the idea is that if you can feel that it represents a high, passionate state of being, or what you might call an idealized representation, then all you have to do is deal with the belief system that would make it seem difficult for you to behave that way. You follow? In other words, if you're able to see an idealized picture. Oh, are you actually asking me if you're fooling yourself?
Yes.
I see. Do you believe you can?
Fooling myself?
Do you believe you can fool yourself?
Yes.
Then that's what you'll experience.
Okay.
So you have to start with that belief. Why would you believe your imagination could fool you and give you something that really wasn't representative of your passion? It implies that you're out of touch with what your passion is.
I see.
So you have to examine those beliefs first. If you find that using your imagination puts you in touch with the belief that says that your imagination could fool you, then I would simply recommend that that's the first belief you deal with.
Right, I see.
And therefore it still works for you. You see?
Absolutely.
Because your imagination has put you in touch with the belief you need to be put in touch with in order to use your imagination in a more beneficial way. So it's still working, but it will always involve your belief system. It can't not involve your belief system. But how it involves your belief system is up to you. Now remember, one of the most important tools you have in all of these things is the ability to redefine. Redefine, redefine, redefine. Never assume that the definition you've been given on earth of what something means is the only definition it can have. For example, you use the word trust. Many people on your planet think, because they've been taught to believe this, they've been taught to define it this way, that they have to learn to trust. No, you don't. If you didn't trust something to be true all the time, you wouldn't be having an experiential reality. So it's not an issue of learning to trust, it's an issue of learning what you trust in. Make sense? You see the difference?
Absolutely.
So, when someone says, oh, you have to learn to trust, say, wait a minute. No, I don't. Trust is automatic. I define trust as simply something that exists within me automatically, naturally. Again, if I didn't trust something to be true, I wouldn't even be having an experience. So it's not about learning to trust, it's about learning what it is I'm placing my trust in and why. So then it takes all the weight off of having to learn to trust. And suddenly it just becomes an exciting exercise in deciding what you prefer to trust in. And then finding out if you have any belief systems that says that this thing is easier to trust in than that thing. Why? Why? Who said so? Who said this is easier to believe than that? Some other belief says so. Well, where'd you get that belief? Deal with that. Take it as far back, as far down, as far in as you can until you find the core belief. Then change it. Remember, again, redefine, redefine, redefine. Use your imagination to create definitions that work for you instead of against you. Here's another example we often give. People often complain, well, I just can't seem to change this because it's a habit. It's a pattern. I just can't seem to change it. It's a habit. Well, the only reason it seems as if you can't change it is because you have a definition of a habit that says it's something you have to keep doing. Our definition of a habit is something that you do you don't know you're doing. And if you know suddenly you're doing it, it's not a habit anymore. It's a choice. And now you have to ask yourself, well, why would I keep choosing something that I don't want? Good question. Because now it involves having to honestly look at your beliefs about that situation. From our perspective, we understand that your people typically think that when you discover you have a habit, that's the beginning of changing the habit, and that some long process is involved in order to change that habit. From our perspective, once you know you have a habit, the habit's gone. It is the recognition that's the end of the process of having the habit, because a habit is something you do you don't know you're doing. Once you know you're doing it, the only way you could know that is if the habit's no longer there, because now you're looking at it from another perspective. It's like the forest and the trees. You cannot see the forest unless you're outside the forest. You can't see the habit unless you no longer have it. So if that's a definition that works better for you, I would suggest you use that one. And then you will see that by implementing that definition of a habit, things will be easier. Unless you have a belief that says it can't be that easy.
Thank you, Bashar.
Does this help?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. There will be a few moments remaining for this transmission. Is there anything else you would like to discuss in the brief amount of time remaining?